Right, you don't care about the planet. Well, you ask more intelligent questions. It's like, well, what do you mean care about the planet? First of all, that's pretty vague. It's like, you really think that all of our problems can be reduced to excess carbon dioxide production? We have other problems. Well, here's the problem. 20 million people die a year because of indoor pollution. Well, is that a problem? It's a way bigger problem than climate change by the looks of it. Is it a big enough problem? Well, if not, there's others. Lots of children are still starving. We could provide them with nutrition at a fraction of the cost that we're planning to expend not doing a very good job of mediating our carbon output. I think the central issue for conservatives is to stop allowing the radicals to exploit you on the guilt front. It's like, no, you're not moral because you think that the apocalypse that confronts us can be reduced to a single variable, that you know what the variable is, because that's how wise you are, and that you know what the solution to that is. End all fossil. It's the apocalypse is all carbon dioxide and the cure is end all fossil fuels. That's what you think, is it? You know what that means? That means you don't think. It doesn't mean you're moral. It certainly doesn't mean I'm immoral if I oppose you. We've got way bigger fish to fry than problems on the carbon dioxide front. I know how these politicians operate. They operate on the basis of, they abdicate responsibility to idiot opinion polls. And so they stupidly sample public whim and then craft their policy to magnify their attractiveness to that whim. It's so appalling. It wasn't science. I know the people who were advising the people who were making the policies. It's like, was any of that science? No, it was all opinion poll. It's like, what? Really? Yeah, it was all opinion poll.
But does that scare you that there's that polling would show that these illiberal policies, the human rights breaches were so popular?
Yeah, well, people were afraid and they stampeded, you know. And what happened was we fall prey to the first actor phenomena. It was an unbound problem. How serious is this? No one knows. So it's an apocalypse, right? An apocalypse, I suppose, is a problem of unspecifiable significance. It's a new apocalypse. What do we do about that? Everything we can. What does that mean? Well, we don't know. So then the Chinese totalitarians act first. Another indication of the collapse of sophisticated policy making into a virtue signaling unidimensional problem. Not the socialization of children, not the education of children, not the supply chain, not the maintenance of the economy, not unemployment, not the ballooning of the debt, none of that. Excuse me if I'm a bit skeptical of your motivations. And we can still see the same thing unfolding in China. They're just doubling down. Great. It's exactly what you'd expect from the Chinese Communist Party. Yeah. You can't believe how much people don't know these things. When I went to the UK, I talked to some people from the House of Lords. This is within the last 6 months. The most astute of the people sitting in the House of Lords had only become aware of the woke movement in the last 18 months. Oh yes, you just can't believe how much this is not on people's radar. Not someone like you can't believe that at all, because it's on your radar all the time. That's not, you live in a world that's on the cutting edge of this sort of thing. It's like, people have no idea. It's like, well, why not have a digital passport? I mean, you know, how convenient. It's like, fair enough, and you can understand that. Wouldn't it be nice if we could pay for everything with our phones? It's like, wouldn't it be nice if the central government, who's woke-oriented and makes carbon dioxide remediation the priority, knows exactly what you spend on everything so they can target you tax-wise with precision? It's like, oh, didn't think about that. It's like, yeah, you sure didn't. And, oh yes, it's highly probable. It'll be a miracle if we escape from that. You can see these signs of this everywhere. You know, when you go through airports now, there's a lot of automated barriers. You show your passport. It's like, well, these are automated barriers. What if you can't go through them? Well, that's the situation for many people in China. It's like, what are you going to do? You're going to argue with the machine? Like, you just cannot imagine how screwed you are. It's way worse than anything Kafka ever imagined. Because at least with Kafka, there was bureaucrats. Faceless though they may have been, they were at least still human. Once the machines can lock you out, you are in such trouble. And we're speeding towards that with an immense lack of care.